So one of the things that you need to pay attention to in your personal hygiene is oral health, and making sure that your mouth is taken care of. If you have oral issues, it's better to have them taken care of and mitigated prior to the opportunity when you don't have the opportunity to do that. Although there are things that you can do in the event of having oral issues when you don't have the availability of dental assistance following that. You can actually have cavities for a very long time. I just had some dental work done yesterday. That cavities were first discovered 5 years ago, and I've been working on trying to get them moving in a different direction towards healing, because there is a healing process that can take place with cavities, but there's also a point of no return. And evidently, by the time I started earnestly working on that, I didn't have the tools yet, and they were past the point of rescue on that. So, but there are some things that you can do to prevent cavities, as well as to actually reverse cavities. And people who are on a whole foods plant-based diet that's unrefined will have a better opportunity of implementing that process than others, just because of habits that have already been preformed. So that you probably know no refined sugar. So candies and refined sugars of any sort it's a playground for bacteria in your mouth. The primary bacteria in your mouth that is the problem is a bacteria called Streptococcus mutans, and it sets up shop in your teeth, and where there are sugars for it to go ahead and metabolize, and its waste products are acidic, and that's what ends up actually deteriorating and eroding your teeth. The bacteria themselves aren't actually eating your teeth. It's the enamel erosion from their waste products, their bio metabolism. So no refined sugar. Something else, this is actually some protocols that come from this book by Gabriel Arruda, How I Reversed 5 Cavities in 3 Months. He had 5 cavities, and in 3 months, he had dental x-rays before and after, and he was able to completely have them heal. And Dr. Weston Price has done a lot of research in this arena too, way back when, looking at different cultures and their diets, and their dental presentations were far superior to people who were in Western refined food cultures, and those who came from indigenous cultures who had great dental hygiene, or not even hygiene, just diet, soon had their teeth waste away when they were having plenty of access to refined sugars and processed foods. Weston Price, however, also included a lot of animal-based components to that nutrition, and Gabriel is completely from a plant-based paradigm and was able to do that from a plant-based paradigm, which is what I was seeking for in having that kind of a process happen. So we can use those same techniques to maintain oral health. What's 2 things that are common to oral health are flossing and brushing. Flossing after meals, brushing after meals. If you didn't have a toothbrush, what would you use instead of a toothbrush? Well, you could use your shirt, just a cloth, and you don't even need toothpaste. The toothpaste is just a foaming agent that actually does a little bit of irritation to the inside of the mouth that gives that freshness feel to it. Some of the ingredients in toothpaste, commercial toothpaste, are irritants to the mucous membranes, which gives that fresh feeling. So just something that is mechanically disrupting those colonies is what a toothbrush does. You don't even need paste necessarily. And the floss is basically just going between the teeth and disrupting those colonies again, reducing the plaque buildup. And what would be something that's durable that you could use over and over and over again that isn't dental floss? I suppose you could wash dental floss and reuse it. But the thing that came to my mind about that was using fish line. So you could use monofilament line as a dental floss. It's smoother. It's not going to have as not abrasive, but like you have this fuzzy floss, or the string floss, or the wide floss, and different people like different flosses. But basically the idea is that you're disrupting the colonies and mechanically massaging the gums with the floss too, and helping to maintain their integrity. So another kind of step to that, so you're flossing and you're brushing, so good dental hygiene from those standpoints, no refined sugar, or very minimal. But you can also do something called oil pulling. So that's taking an oil, and particularly coconut oil is a good oil for oil pulling, and you're just swishing it in your mouth for 15-20 minutes, and that disrupts the bacteria. So coconut oil in particular has medium chain triglycerides in it, and those MTCs, or MCTs, medium chain triglycerides, they break up the exterior membranes of bacteria, particularly the bad bacteria, and cause them to not be able to live in that environment. So that's one thing that you can do to help maintain a pure environment. So this is solid, and in order for us to use it, it needs to be liquid. Actually, it starts up from solid, but in order to get a mix, I'm just going to set this on the stove so it can start melting, and we'll talk about this more later. There are some essential oils that have benefits for use. One that is helpful is clove oil. So clove oil can be particularly helpful in pain mitigation if you do have a cavity that hurts. Like I said, I had cavities for 5 years that I was trying to get rid of. It was really hard for me to go and get my teeth work done, but I finally did. But I never had any tooth pain or anything like that at all in the whole process, which I was grateful for. But clove oil can be helpful in mitigating the pain. It's also beneficial in the fact that clove oil, along with some others, is an essential oil that actually breaks up the biofilm that Streptococcus mutans makes. So a biofilm is like an extra cover over a bacterial colony that prevents agents from getting into it, like medications or other things that would get to it that would break it down and cause it to die or to kill it. And so that biofilm protects it. So that's part of the reason for doing the flossing and brushing. It helps to disrupt that biofilm. But clove oil is a really good one for that, as well as mitigating any pain that might be associated with progressed cavity situations. But some other oils that are helpful are oregano oil. So you can use essential oil of oregano, and we'll use this in a mix. So here's essential oil of oregano. You can use cinnamon, sweet basil, peppermint. So peppermint oil is another one that is going to be a biofilm disruptor. Mint, coriander oil, rosemary leaf. There's one called broomweed. And lemongrass is also a biofilm disruptor. So lemongrass is good too. And there's lots of other good uses for lemongrass essential oil. And then another one is cedarwood essential oil. So those are, and you can use those in various combinations within your essential oil or your oil pulling mixture for a swish. Something else you can do is an alkaline mouthwash. So you have an acidic environment that gets built up with the bacteria that is biometabolizing. Their waste products are toxic and acidic, and they're eating away the teeth. But if you neutralize the acidity of the mouth with an alkaline mouthwash, quickest way to do that is to have a baking soda solution in water, just a little bit of baking soda and some water, and swish it. And that's going to neutralize the oral environment for post-meal time periods and disrupt the ability of those bacterial colonies to proliferate. And another thing that you can do as well, something that some people have more of a problem with than others, is actually do some tongue scraping. So this is a tongue scraper that you can take and go down your tongue. If you look at your tongue in the mirror, sometimes it's like white or maybe different colors. My tongue has never been one that has been yucky looking. But sometimes if you scrape that tongue and then rinse it off, there's just this buildup that they hide in the papillae or the projections on your tongue, the bacteria. And they can proliferate there. So a tongue scraper can be a helpful tool in removing those bacteria and minimizing or lowering their count so they don't get out of control in your mouth. So your diet is really critical for helping to maintain an environment that is non-hospitable to it, but then these are other things that are making it inhospitable to the bacteria. And then a weekly soak of your brush in baking soda is a good idea too. Just put in a soda solution, you're alkalizing it, you're cleaning it, cleansing it. So cleansing a brush can be helpful as well. So we have those different things that you can do. Something else that you can do is utilize charcoal. So activated charcoal. Some people use it as a paste or as a brushing agent. Some people also feel like it's more abrasive and shouldn't use it as a brush on your teeth directly. But you can paint it on. So I know a number of people who will paint it on their teeth overnight and sleep with it on their teeth, and it absorbs toxins that are built up by the bacteria that may be working there, and can minimize that. So charcoal, this is activated charcoal. You can purchase it in bulk. You can actually even just use charcoal from any ash, wood ash that you've burned, if you have no other thing at your disposal. That can be used as well. So activated charcoal is actually produced by a slow smoldering fire. It's not an actively burning fire, but that slow smoldering fire increases the hollow porous structure of the charcoal and makes it more potent as a toxin absorber than just a regularly burned piece of wood. You never want to use like charcoal briquettes or something like that. You always want to use something that's been burned. In fact, completely. Coconut hulls are often used for charcoal, activated charcoal, and there's other woods as well. Something else that you can use to support your oral health is horsetail. Horsetail herb has a high silica content, and that is a good source of minerals that can help build tooth structure back. We usually think of things like calcium and things like that as being important components to building teeth. But you need also some silica. You can also use and make that into a powder, so you can make powdered horsetail that you could pack around your teeth too, like overnight, for example. You can make your own toothpaste. There's lots of different recipes out there for making your own toothpaste, using a variety of different things from alcohol to soap flakes to camphor to chalk, lots of different things like that. But there are many different ones out there. But I'm gonna demonstrate just a powdered kind of tooth powder that I've made in the past, and we'll just make some up here. So just have a little dish that you can mix in, and we'll start with some baking soda. That baking soda will be an alkalizer. You can brush with just plain baking soda as well. Did that as a kid on occasion. So baking soda, and then I had purchased a product at one point that was recommended that was called had tricalcium phosphate in it, and that was the main ingredient that I saw that would be helpful in providing minerals to the teeth to help to build them back up. So I got the tricalcium phosphate on its own because I wasn't keen on including fluoride in my oral regimen or my water regimen at all. So put some tricalcium phosphate in. So this is basically a teaspoon or a tablespoon of each of these in a 1:1:1 ratio that we're doing. Another thing is dolomite powder. So dolomite powder is a source of calcium again. Now these calciums aren't going to even really absorb into your system unless you have adequate vitamin D. So you need to make sure you have adequate vitamin D in your body. This is something you're using as a wash. It's not something you're ingesting, although you can ingest tricalcium phosphate. You can ingest dolomite powder too. Something I don't have here that you can also use is food grade diatomaceous earth. That also has good calcium in it. And the dolomite powder is fairly similar to that. And then bentonite clay. So bentonite clay is another thing that you can add. Clays are very absorbent of toxins as well. So bentonite clay is another thing that can be added to this. This, when it becomes moist, becomes kind of gooey. Some people will add coconut oil to this mixture too. I found that for me, I don't need to add that extra coconut oil to it because it just makes it glumpy and hard to put on the brush. You just put your brush underneath the tap, and it will soak up the water. And then just put the powder on it. So I'm going to actually add a little bit of peppermint oil to this. Gives it kind of a fresh flavor to it. So we'll put some drops of peppermint oil in there. So remember, the peppermint oil is also a biofilm disruptor. You're not going to need a lot of it because a little goes a long way. So I put 5 drops in there, and we'll just mix it around. So then this, when you go to use it, you would just use it like you would your toothpaste, except you're not putting paste on it. Something you can build at home, you can put together on your own. Oops. And then you can just run your brush under the water and then dip it in there, get the powder on it, and brush away. So that's making a type of homemade tooth powder. They make commercial ones, and there's lots of recipes out there for various types of tooth powders that one could use for cleaning your teeth. So when we're doing our coconut oil, we would get our coconut oil to do our oil pulling, and you can get it in bulk and just store it, use it for other things too. So this is from Azure Standard, but you can get it from other places as well. And we have our coconut oil that is almost ready to go here. And let's see how hot this is. And let's do a quick transfer here. Asbestos fingers. There we go. And then just drop in four drops of each. So this is cedar wood. This is one of the oils that is helpful for helping to remineralize and break down the bacteria. So do 4 drops in there. So cedar wood's a good one. And then we're going to do some biofilm disruptors. So this is peppermint. Gives a nice fresh flavor in your mouth too. And then we'll go with some lemongrass, another biofilm disruptor. So we want to make sure that we're disrupting any biofilm. This is something you would do in the morning. First thing, you could do it in the shower. You could do it during prep time, getting ready. You just don't want to spit it into the sink because that can end up over time clogging your drain. You want to just spit it into the trash and it'll harden up and not be a problem. And then we have our final one, oil of oregano. Another oil of oregano is not a biofilm disruptor, but it has antibacterial properties for other strains that may be present. So we're adding these, and essentially the coconut oil is a carrier oil. And some of these oils are considered hot when using them as an essential oil. But this is going to be used as an oral rinse, an oral swish for breaking down the bacteria. And then basically we'll just let this cool, and it should be fairly uniformly mixed through the oil. And once it's cool, it's going to be turn white again, like in the stock solution here. And then you would just take and have about a teaspoon. You put it in your mouth. It'll melt in your mouth. Swish it around, and it'll help to cleanse your oral environment. So those are some strategies that you can use to help maintain a good oral environment and help to head your oral environment in the right direction. Some other things that you can do to help maintain that is just make sure you have a good diet. And part of that good diet that is important to have is leafy greens. So lots of good sources of calcium. Leafy greens are a good source of calcium, and juicing. So juicing can aid in the mineral density that you're getting from the food you're eating. So those are some things to include in your dietary protocol or daily habits, along with just the general oral health strategies. So those are some things that you can do in an oral environment.
To be aware of new videos like this one, be sure to subscribe to the Preparing for the Time of Trouble channel. For more free videos and downloadable audio podcasts, as well as handouts, go to www.preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com. Topic categories include recordings of live seminar presentations, country living, sustainable gardening, homestead remedies, how to be self-sufficient when the grid goes down, wild edible and medicinal plants, hydrotherapy, and end-time Bible prophecies. To take advantage of these free resources, go to preparingforthetimeoftrouble.com.